With the legalization of industrial, medical and recreational cannabis, many businesses have been popping up following the niche. This has given a rise in cannabis crowdfunding because it's arguably the only way to get financing. Cannabis business is somewhat gray or shady for banks, and they just don't want to be a part of regulatory rut. Venture investors try to avoid such businesses too. Well, it looks like crowdfunding is the only viable option for a cannabis startup to raise funds. Crowdfunding for cannabis stores and businesses has different scenarios. In some cases, it works if the platform is right, but sometimes it doesn't. In Canada, cannabis, hemp and CBD crowdfunding campaigns are legal if the fundraisers obtain all the licenses. In the USA, cannabis is prohibited under the federal law. Only research companies that have obtained special permissions can be involved in cannabis-related activities. In the USA, hemp crowdfunding is legal if the fundraiser obtained all of the licenses. CBD crowdfunding is regulated by each state, and cannabis crowdfunding is illegal.
Seedrs is a leading crowdfunding platform in Europe. It was created by two lawyers. They were studying their Bachelor of Arts and then went on and did an MBA, and as a part of their MBA project, it was off the back of the GFC, and they realized that startups were having a significant difficulty in taking on or finding capital to be able to grow their businesses. And what they thought was there is this huge push for democratization of assets, and why is it that we can't invest into startups as a sort of an everyday investor? Now, investors can invest as little as £10 into these sort of growing startups that are predominantly based in the UK. We've recently just been acquired by Republic, which is a large unicorn over in New York, and that's going to go ahead in April this year. And what that's going to do is to be able to create the largest private investment network in the world, which we're very excited about. And they're going to use Seedrs as a mechanism to expand throughout Europe. So, working with them to help these startups grow. Demographic for Seedrs are investors, obviously, from 18 all the way up until, the older demographic, but predominantly they're 25 to 35. These are investors on average investing around about £800 per ticket. So obviously that fluctuates between those that are investing as little as £10 all the way up to people that invest upwards of £50,000, even £100,000 through the platform. So this demographic, we do say that we're sort of the platform which is more sophisticated, high net worth. What we mean by that is that the people that are investing on the platform really do dig deep into the sort of the fundamentals of the startups that raise with us, and that's testament to the discussion boards on the platform itself.
A crowdfunding platform for cannabis. How are you guys looking at it as a subsector?
Yeah, so 2021 was the year that we started launching CBD businesses on the platform. We facilitated over £14.5 million euros of investment into CBD businesses, and this was over 11 campaigns. These campaigns, they ranged from medicinal cannabis, growing the hemp, all the way to sort of those B2C businesses whereby you have cans of sort of CBD drinks or soaps or the plethora of sort of B2C consumer goods raising with us. So diving into sort of reasons for why our investors would be investing into these businesses is firstly for the medicinal cannabis purposes, those that are most interested in, say, B2B and understand the premise and sort of nature of CBD as a whole. They are most compelled by those businesses because they sort of grassroots level. Whereas you then have these B2C businesses who may be using a supplier, a manufacturer, but they have a community. These investors, these retail investors, are likely to be able to invest into the product because they're so passionate about it. And what we see is a higher conversion of pledged interest from a company's community into investment for CBD businesses than other sort of brands. And I think this is the nature of sort of the huge sort of interest in this space, and it's something to watch throughout 2022.
And so when it comes to cannabis companies, do you guys have to do more compliance or different compliance than you would on other businesses?
Yes, we do more compliance on CBD businesses. This is for reasons of, our legal team, our investment team have to understand exactly where the cannabis is coming from. They need to understand sort of who it is that they're distributing. It comes back to due diligence here, where if you have a company that simply has 1 out of 20 of their products that have CBD, we need to be able to be in a position to be able to undertake our due diligence on them, but not nearly to the extent of, say, a business that prioritize CBD that has 50 products that are product based, because the amount of diligence that's undertaken is obviously much more extensive there. So that's something that we're going to consider moving forward, because CBD is a piece that will be adopted by many more businesses that may not prioritize on it, but will adopt it in the future.
Cannabis is a term used to denominate the plant in general. Hemp is the same plant grown for industrial or medical use. CBD is a chemical contained in marijuana. It doesn't have THC and is used as medication, even though for now its effects are not studied to the full extent. In Europe, legislation on cannabis is not uniform. The majority of countries forbid cannabis. In some countries, such as Netherlands, selling, producing and growing cannabis is legal, but smoking it in special places, for example, authorized coffee shops, is allowed. Crowdfunding for hemp or CBD startups is absolutely legal in Europe.